But let's do the hot test and see whether it really works in a real environment. Talking about our favorite product, sunscreen. So none of these sunscreens certified by the Coripa or the Boots method. See, अगर आपके sunscreen में filters हैं, तो filters कितना अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं because there's also the, there's water, there's emollients, there are fatty acids, there's humectants in your sunscreens. So basically, when you have a tested certified sunscreen, it tells you that the filters are working despite the dilutions. तो मतलब filters इतने dilute नहीं हुए हैं कि वो काम ना करें. And that is why I personally feel that sunscreens का certified होना बहुत ज़रूरी है because 10 years के बाद sun damage के बारे में रोना is pointless. It's very hard to reverse sun damage, right? The best thing is a few sunscreens these have been tested by an Indian lab. So let's get started. The first one is Skincraft Dry Touch Sheer Cream Broad Spectrum SPF 45 with PA++++. Basically 4 pluses, which means you're not going to tan as much. Now remember that we will tan with sunscreen if we are outdoors or in the direct sun for too long a time, right? Sunscreens technically don't prevent the amount of tan you're going to get. So just stay out of direct sun. I always test my sunscreens in the sun. So I'm going to apply this sunscreen, and while I talk to you, we can see how the cast disappears. So I'm going to keep my hand over here while I talk about the product for you. Now this particular product has got these filters. It's got methoxycinnamide, it's got benzophenone, and along with that it's got ethyl ascorbic acid. Ethyl ascorbic acid means it's got good protection against UV radiation or UV protection, and it also helps build your collagen. Along with that, of course, it's got cross polymers. I like cross polymers in my sunscreen because that kind of makes sure that the variability of the sunscreen is good. Priced at $4.99 for 50 ml. It's a little more expensive than other sunscreens that I'm going to be talking about, but here is the cast for you. It's very, very dry feel. There's no shininess, there's no darkness, but as you can see, it does have a cast. And this is meant for folks who have dry skin, which means this has a potential of actually getting darker when you are wearing it outdoors or when you're wearing it on a reapplication or second or third application. Definitely has a potential. But let's do the hot test and see whether it really works in a real environment. Hot test for the Skincraft Dry Touch Sheer Creme 45 SPF. Feels a little creamy when you put it. So you might feel this is too much of sunscreen, but the guidance from the La Roche-Posay, as I've shared recently, is that we require 10 ml of sunscreen on our face. I never quite believed in the 3-finger rule because everybody's fingers are different, face is different. So it's just best to stick to a digital value. How much does 10 ml look? About this much. And I have a small weighing scale that I've measured it on, so it's quite fairly accurate. Let's wait for the cast to settle down. So this cast is not going anywhere. I'm not going to go out with this kind of cast. There's not going to be no hot test for this because there's no way you're stepping out with this amount of cast anywhere. Fixderma Shadow SPF 50 with PA+++. This was one of the most requested review of this sunscreen. Right? It has a much more creamier finish. And as this dries, let's talk about the filters. The filters are octinoxate, it's got titanium dioxide, it's got methoxydibenzole methane, it's got benzophenone 4 in terms of the filters. And along with that, of course, it has polymers, which means it's going to go in very, very smoothly. It's very well balanced for hydration, as you can see here. Along with that, it has fragrance, which might be a problem for some of you. It's not a problem for me, I don't mind it at all. Priced at $315 for 75 grams, it's definitely one of the most economical sunscreens in this whole group. As you can see over here, there's a very little cast and it's dried up with a little bit of a dewy finish, which is always good when you have dry skin because otherwise your face can look really dry and dehydrated with sunscreen. So I really like the finish. I definitely prefer it over the Skincraft. More in the hot test. And so I'm not going to go on my neck area. As you can see, there's an initial cast. My face has literally turned white. There is a little bit of cast, quite a bit of cast. I'm going to let it settle in a little bit. sunscreens require some time to kind of settle down and show their true colors. The cast becomes more visible when you kind of compare it like this. Let's see how it feels outside. I'm going to be out for like 2 to 3 minutes and see how it feels. It doesn't feel dry, it doesn't feel sticky, it doesn't feel burning. There's no burning, no stinging, just damn good. As I walk around here, you can see there's some flowers coming in. There's some nice palms over here. This is one of the most beautiful flowers you can plant in your house. Requires very little water and flowers throughout the year. And it keeps having these seeds very often. As you can see here, this will actually grow into a seed pod and you can plant this into many pots. My face is feeling completely fine, comfortable, no burning, no itching, no excessive sweatiness. Yeah, so I think it definitely passes the hot test. In terms of the cast is definitely there. But I have to say that even though I have pale skin, the sunscreen was blotchy on my skin. But all in all, cast is not bad. Quite a good sunscreen. This is the Earth Rhythm SPF 50 Matte Mineral Sunscreen with Phyto Shield. It's PA+++, the 3 pluses. And now let's look at how the application is. I think all they've done is change the bottle. The cute little bottle has now become this tube. And it's a little more gel-like as compared to what the previous formulation was. But with Earth Rhythm, you don't even know what formulation you're using with what. You know, I'm so amazed with this sunscreen brand because as I was reading the ingredients, there's so many ingredients that are repeated twice, right? Sab chalta hai. Let's look at the filters. Now, this sunscreen is a mineral sunscreen. So mineral sunscreens are always harder to put and always harder to use because they have titanium and they have zinc oxide in it, right? And since the protection is only coming from these two filters, it has to be in a good amount of quantity. And so cast is going to be a big issue. But let's see how it dries up. And along with the mineral filters, it's very well balanced with dimethicone and it's got cyclopentasiloxane and trimethicone, and as you can see there are a lot of doubling of ingredients over here. I don't even know why that is there, but it is there. It's supposed to be a very wrong practice but I quite like Earth Rhythm products and you know, it is what it is. How is this sunscreen? I stopped reviewing the products when the formulations would change, you know, on you without letting you know formulation change ho gaya. You're reviewing one product, by the time the audience sees that the product formulation has changed, this creates too much of confusion and you know, it's just not worth my time then. So let's see how this dries up. It's not like boom dry on your dry skin, so works very beautifully for dry skin, and that's what I have dry skin, so I require my sunscreens to be a little more hydrative and more dewy because otherwise my skin can look really dry and then the cast gets even worse because वो बहुत dry हो जाता है. It's priced as 675 50 grams. It is expensive, but mineral sunscreens can be very hard to formulate. And the cast kind of disappears almost while you're putting it. We're going to give it 5 minutes to show its true colors. The cast settles down fairly okay, but it's blotchy. Let's go out and get the hot test done. And again, it was too noisy, so I'm doing the voice over inside the house. Well, I did not sweat, there was no stinging, there was no burning, my eyes felt completely comfortable, they were not watering, they were not feeling sensitive. And you know, sometimes when you put on sunscreen, your eyes become a little sensitive to the wind and the light. It did not feel any of that. So beautiful experience of the sunscreen. But I have to say that even though I have pale skin, the sunscreen was blotchy on my skin. It was not a perfect finish. In some parts you could see the cast, in some parts of my face you couldn't see the cast. A lot of how sunscreens look on our face also depends on how micronized or how tiny or fine the zinc and the titanium dioxide is. The more micronized or more tinier, fine titanium dioxide and zinc oxide is, I believe the better it performs as a mineral sunscreen, because the more finer they are, the less cast they throw, or the less cast you can see on your face. A little tidbit about sunscreens for you. Let's take it inside and see how it looks inside. And as you can see over here, there is some cast in some places there is no cast. The next sunscreen that we're seeing is the Aqualogica Hydrate Dewy Sunscreen with PA+++. This is a hybrid sunscreen. It's got a combination of chemical filters and has a combination of the mineral filters as well. Let's see how that goes. First, I'm going to apply it over here, a generous quantity, to show you how the sunscreen develops, basically what happens to the cast. I have to say that Aqualogica has got their dewy products really good. Look at this. Who is not going to love this finish, especially people who have dry skin, because you're going to have a very hydrated skin and dewy finish despite the fact that you're wearing a sunscreen. Let's look at the filters as the sunscreen dries here. When it comes to filters, it's got titanium dioxide, which is a mineral filter. Along with that, it's got Suncat D. Suncat D is a combination of all these filters. So it's a very advanced ingredient, Suncat D, but the filters still remain the same. Even in this sunscreen, there's a doubling of ingredients in terms of the ingredient list. And of course, it's got zinc oxide. So it has two minerals filters and has the chemical filters in it. It's beautifully hydrated, as you can see over here. Look at the shine and dewiness. It has got hyaluronic acid, bhara hua hai. It's got allantoin, it's got sodium lactate, it's got aloe, lot of hydration. The best part about the sunscreen is that it also has ceramides. Ceramides means your barrier is going to be continuously protected from the UV radiation, and it's not going to become dry, it's not going to shrivel up in the sun, especially when you're out in the direct sun. This sunscreen has been tested by the Indian labs. When I had done the review of the previous sunscreen in the previous video, they had shared the reports with me. And it's got IFRA certified fragrances. I love fragrances, so I like my product to have a little bit of fragrances. It's not very hard and harsh and overpowering. It's very, very light, but absolutely stunning finish. And as you can see over here, there's absolutely no cast that you can see on my hand. Priced at just $3.99 for 50 grams, it immediately hydrates your skin and gives it an instant dewy finish, going in very smoothly. It's actually disappearing as I am putting on the sunscreen. We'll give it time for it to show its true colors. Well, as you can see here, there's hardly any cast, but let's take it outside in the hot sun. There was just too much of noise, so I'm doing the voice over later on. There was no stinging, no burning, no sweating on the face. There was no eye irritation, no eye watering at all. Of all the sunscreens, I think this passed the test most beautifully because it just was a pleasure using this sunscreen. It was really gel-like and it actually kind of made my face feel cooler. And as you can see over here, there was no cast, but my skin definitely looked dewy. I guess the Aqualogica Hydrate Dewy Sunscreen does deliver on the dewiness. So we are down 4 sunscreens. The last one, the last, I'm just too tired to do another one, going in and out with, getting all of this compiled, but I'm going to be back with another sunscreen video. Let me know which other sunscreens that you want me to test. It would be great if you just pick up certified sunscreens. And even if they are certified by an Indian lab, let's just look at the certified ones, right? So it's just better for our skin. In fact, if your brand is not able to share certification with you, is not able to tell you it's not certified, move on. Let me know how the video was. And for more of this, I'm going to meet you in the comment section.